So, Fort Worth, Texas.
Sorry, I'm just going to pet my new friend here.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Fort Worth, Texas, the town of cowboys and culture. I have a hunch, no offense to our new friend Dave, that you're probably the cowboy part.
Yes, sir. I'm lacking a little bit in the culture department.
Who is this gorgeous creature?
This is Oliver. Oliver is one of the Fort Worth herd horses. We use the horses to drive the longhorns up and down the street here. We do it every day at 11:30 and 4 o'clock. We have a very nice herd of about 19 longhorn steers that we use. And we do this as a historical reenactment and reminder of the history of Texas and the cattle drive area that basically saved Texas's economy and made Fort Worth the town that it has grown into today.
That's amazing. So what's the draw? I bet you people just love it. I bet you they come here. Do they come here specifically for that? And what's the reaction?
They estimate 1 million people a year plus come to Cowtown just to see the cattle drive. That would be the main draw. The historical value of it, you get the age groups that grew up watching the old Western movies and stuff like that. They bring their kids and their grandkids down to subject them to the culture and let them see how life used to be.
And so for you, I mean, you talk about doing a historical reenactment, and I think when people hear, you know, historical reenactment, they start thinking like Civil War reenactments and all that sort of stuff, where there's all these elaborate costumes and stuff. This isn't a costume for you, is it? This is workwear.
Yes, sir. This clothing represents the styles of the 1860s to 1890s. Everything they wore had a specific purpose. It was not just to look cool like a lot of people think we do.
Although you do look very cool.
Right?
You look cool.
You got the cool thing nailed.
We figure we're cooler than the other side of the pillow is what we got to tell people.
You're right.
But we try to be historically correct so we can answer questions for people and give them the true prospect of what the life in that time frame used to be like.
Yeah, now we should go around and maybe talk to your partner in crime. Let's go talk to Doug.
Don't go around the back end of the horse.
Oh, well, you can go.
She works with the back end of the horse every morning, so we're going to come over and say hi to Doug. Doug, who is this beautiful beast?
This is Parker.
You're gonna get
He's
whipped.
a buckskin quarter horse gelding. He's about 10 years old. Been with the herd about 3 years. So
Is that a long time to be with the herd? How long do horses stay with you?
They usually stay, he's like 10 years old, and they usually stay up to about 20 and early 20s, and they retire them.
And so to have a horse as part of all this, do they have to be people friendly? Like, what are the characteristics of the animal? Because some horses are skittish and are not super comfortable, like we're standing next to him right now and we're between the two. Are they comfortable with us here? Because I know they're working with animals mostly.
Yes, ma'am, they are. They're very comfortable. They have to be pretty quiet before they ever come here.
Yeah.
But of course there's things that here that they have to get used to that they've never been around before. But they have to be pretty quiet. When we buy a horse, the people that owns them has to agree to let us try them out for 2 weeks to make sure that they're going to fit the program.
I just want to ask you, both of you really, but we'll get your opinion, Doug. It must be an honor to do this job. Like, how did you come about this, and how does it feel to be a part of telling the story of the rich history of Fort Worth?
Well, I always worked on feed yards and ranches before I come here, and this is kind of similar to that a little bit. So, and it's an honor to be able to preserve the history and for the tourists and everything, because you know a lot of them don't have a clue about what happened back in the late 1800s.
Right.
Now, for people who are hearing, you know, the cattle drive, and it happens twice a day, there are people who might, in their heads, make the leap to, oh, it's like the running of the bulls then in Pamplona. It's not the same thing at all.
No, sir, and you'll be surprised how many tourists comes down here and thinks that's exactly what it's going to be like running of the bulls. And they just walk down the street. They don't run at all. And a lot of people think these cattle that we're taking up and down the street are going to slaughter. They don't. They stay here all the time.
And they're longhorn, right? Like, tell us about the cattle, because the cattle that we know at home don't look at all like the cattle here.
No, ma'am. They're Texas Longhorns. They basically have 7 different bloodlines of the Texas Longhorn breed, and their genetics depends on how their horns grow, how long they grow, if they have curve, which way they curve. It's all about their genetics. And that's the main thing that they breed for, is the length of their horns. They measure their horns from one tip on one side to the tip on the other side. It's not from their head out. It's the span across from one tip to the other.
That's interesting. And so are they, this may or may not go in this, but are they for food, or what is the purpose of that particular cattle?
No, our cattle they're not for slaughter. When we retire one, we adopt it out, but the people that adopts it has to agree not to ever sell it, not to ever kill it. It just enjoys the rest of its life out in the pasture.
Wonderful, wonderful.
The Texas Longhorns were used for beef back in the day, but for the most part, they're not used for beef anymore. They are very lean beef. They don't hardly have any fat on them.